invitation, I did mention that today's topic is on additional parties to the transaction. Sometimes you may have more than two buyers or two sellers or one agent. In other words, you have more than one agent representing the same person. In this particular case, then you want to know what forms to use. And instead of calling me to ask me what forms to use, now you'll be able to learn which forms to use. That will save me quite a bit of time trying to tell you what forms to use. Okay, so get right to it. So let's start with the situation where you have more than one buyer. If you have more than one buyer, you probably notice that the RPA has only two signature blocks. This is what the RPA looks like. If you look at the RPA, for disclosure, you get two signature blocks. Pretty much everywhere you only get two signature blocks, including all of the documents. You only have two signature blocks for each side. So if you have more than two buyers, what do you do? What forms do you do? You don't have enough space to have all three signatures if you have three buyers. Sometimes you might have four buyers. On your side, and what do? You need to use a special form. And today we're going to talk about how to use that special form. For instance, if you have three buyers, you want to use additional signature addendum number 1. If you have 5 buyers, you will need 1 and 2, or maybe even 3, because if I open up additional signature addendum 1, now this is of course auto-populated once you know the address of the property. So you want to make sure you check the right box. It says the following additional signatories do. So if you're signing a listing agreement with three sellers or more, you have a need to use this addendum. If you have like five sellers, then you probably need to use two of this, 1 and 2. So you can either check listing agreement or you check purchase agreement depending on who you're doing work for. Whether you're doing work for the seller or you're doing work for the buyer. If you're working for the buyer, representing the buyer, most likely this is the box you want to check. And then you have the signing date. That's the same date that you sign the RPA. So make sure that the date is correct. Okay. Now if you sign the RPA today, you will use March the 27th. And then the property address, you just put the property address here. You go ahead and input the property address. You guys, I think you guys should be hearing me okay. I don't think I'm muted. Okay, good. And next, you want to indicate the if you represent the buyers, you probably want to put the seller's names here. And then what you say is, and this is now if you're putting the seller's names, you want to check seller here. And then on this page here, and this is where you put the buyer's name. Now, if you got 3 buyers, so you have buyer A, buyer B, and buyer C. So you want to put the 3 buyers' name here, and then you want to put the seller's name here. Okay, and then the property address might be let's say 123 Main Street. Okay, Anaheim. We don't have 123 Main Street in Anaheim, but this is just for illustration. So here you want to check the buyer. Okay. Now this is when actually even when you represent the seller, sometimes when you sign the RPA, so when you represent the seller, not only would you need the additional signature addendum when you sign the residential listing agreement, you will also need the additional signature addendum you sign the RPA. So you do it twice. Over here, this is just to identify to what document this additional signature addendum is attaching. So make sure you properly identify the document. And this particular addendum can be used in other situations as well. For example, I know many of you do not do commercial real estate, but the CAR forms, sometimes they are very useful for commercial transactions. For example, the AIR may not have the proper forms for additional signatures. So the AIR doesn't have it. You might be able to use the CAR form for transactions for which you use the AIR form. For example, you have the AIR something about commercial property commercial purchase and sale, okay, or something else. Okay. So you can actually somehow make this CAR form work for you with more than one signature. Okay. Once you identify what documents to which the addendum attaches, next thing you need to do is to go down and add whatever signatures, names and signatures you want to add to the underlying document. You have just identified the document, the main document. This one looks like you may not be able to use it for AIR because you will see quite quickly that some of this stuff you don't apply to AIR, so maybe I'll take that back. Maybe it's not AIR, maybe some other document. For example, you may have a situation where you got three tenants on a month-to-month, one of those residential lease where you have either more than 3 signatures for the landlord, more than 2 signatures for the landlord, or more than 2 signatures for the tenant where you might need to use this addendum. So you know which form to use, so you don't have to send me an email asking me about what form to use. So now you do. So whatever the document might be, as long as it's a card form, you can effectively use this additional signature addendum to resolve the problem that you have when you have 3 signature blocks that you need for a form, but you only provided with 2. So you can kind of come in here and check the appropriate boxes. Only initial the following if the document identified above contains an arbitration or liquidated damages provision which has been initialed by one or more parties. In most cases, I'm going to advise you to initial the arbitration clause and also to initial the liquidated damages clause. In other words, when you fill in the RPA, take a look at the RPA. When you fill in the RPA, this is where the liquidated damages clause is. So I will advise your client to initial the liquidated damages clause. As you can see, there are only 2 spaces available for initial. Therefore, if you need the third one, there's no place to put it. So you use the additional signature addendum. The same goes for the arbitration clause. And I repeat, these days, I advise your client to initial the arbitration clause. I do not recommend opting out of the arbitration clause like I used to. So, recommend to your client to initial the arbitration clause, and you got the husband and wife and someone else, or 2 buyers and then someone else. So the first 2 buyers will do this initial here, okay? And as you can see, in every single page, there are spaces provided for initials. So you only have 2 initial spaces provided for 2 initials, so you need a third one. Okay. So this is exactly what I meant. So let's come back to the additional signature addendum. So over here, assuming that the other 2 clients have already initialed the arbitration clause and already initial the liquidated damages clause. So this third one or the fourth buyer needs to do the same thing. So and 99% the initial right here, where it says I agree to have disputes decided in accordance with the arbitration provision, and it also say I agree to the liquidated damages provision. So this is the third initial that you need to have a valid contract. So if you represent the buyer, check buyer, you represent the seller, check seller, you represent the landlord, check landlord, and if you represent the tenant, check tenant. If it's other, check other and then specify other. Okay. So let's say, for example, this will be buyer. Let's say this is buyer C. Okay. That's buyer C's name. Now, if buyer C is a corporate entity, such as an LLC, you may put the manager for an LLC, and then you put the let's say ABC LLC. So ABC LLC will have the manager who's going to sign right here. So you got the manager's name, the capacity of the signer, and then you have the name of the business entity. That is, if you have buyer C, which is a business entity, but if buyer C is an individual, you do not have any of this information. Okay, and the e-sign will take care of the placing of the initial and the signature. You don't really have to manually place it. And the date, you don't have to put the date because the signature itself will have a date. Okay. It seems to me that I have done it to in inappropriate space. So that is if I have more parties. As you can see, this form actually allows you to add 3 more signatures to the document. 1, here's 2, and here is 3. So you got 1 here, 2 here, 3 here. So you can have up to 3 additional signatories to one side for one addendum. If you have 6 signatories, then you're going to need another addendum. So this one allows you to take care of up to 5 signatories. Now, by this addendum, not only you take care of the initials for the arbitration clause, as well as liquidated damages clause, you will also take care of other documents as well. Let's see here. Buyer A, buyer B, and buyer C. A and B already signed the RPA. So, and then it says here by signing below, the undersigned acknowledges receipt of the document identified above and accept as specified below, agrees to the terms, conditions, representations, and disclosures in the document. Now, you got to be a little careful here though, because depending on what you put down here, you may be able to resolve the signature problems for a particular document only. So, how do you resolve the signing of things like certain disclosures? You can add a whole bunch of disclosures here. You can put TDS. Well, actually, if you want to make it more formal, you'll be like, I suppose you can put TDS, right? And then SPQ, we all know what that is, right? And then NHD, right? Remember, the NHD requires all the transferees' signatures. So, whatever documents to which you're going to have additional signatures, you're going to make sure that you have the additional signature addendum to take care of it. In other words, however many signatures you need to satisfy the legal compliance for a particular document, you need to make sure you have the additional signature addendum. So the additional signature addendum, where it says other, you actually have a lot of room to put, but then the problem is the date though. So these documents might not be dated the same day, so you may have to individually do this, unless uh, they are going to have the same date. If they don't have the same date for each document for which you need the additional party's signature, you're going to have to provide the additional signature addendum. So it could be that the RPA is signed on a certain date, and then the TDS and the STQ is signed on a certain date, but the same date. Then you can combine the TDS and the SPQ into one additional signature addendum. The NHT might be signed on a different date, so that may be a separate additional signature addendum. So it is quite a bit of work. Same thing for AVID. If you have AVID, usually AVID, we need the party signatures too. So I suppose you might be able to consolidate some of these documents and make them have the same signature date, so you can actually save some paperwork. Otherwise, in theory, you may need an additional signature addendum for each type of document that requires the party's signature. So let's say in this case it is the RPA, so I put the RPA. So this is done. So this is signed to today's date. To seller, I got 3 buyers. Seller check here and buyer check here. And then of course here I will have buyer, and then this one I'll put the buyer C. So maybe buyer C is an individual. I don't need to fill out any of this. And then this is actually taken care of by the e-sign. You automatically place the initials here. Okay. Now, if you do the e-sign, if it turns out that they do not agree, then you have to delete this and then place the initial here for them to sign. I think the system might automatically give you the alternative placement of the signatures if you delete this. And if you have a 4th buyer, then you fill out this page here, and then you have a 5th buyer, you fill out last part here. Okay, so that takes care of the additional signature addendum. And if you have certain things like you know the RPA contains disclosure packages. The RPA contains the agency disclosure, the possible representation of more than one buyer or one seller, or the buyer's advisory, seller's advisory. You got a bunch of stuff that might require this additional signature addendum. For example, your SBSA, right? And then you got the WFA, right? And then you got WH, water heater, smoke detector disclosure, WHSD. All of these disclosures may need this additional signature addendum if you have more than 2 customers that you represent. So just make sure you organize your documents accordingly. I mean, some of this disclosure you can actually combine them provided they sign on the same day. And that way, uh, you know, if all of these documents are signed on the same day, you can kind of combine them. Otherwise, you know, it'd be just too much paperwork floating around with this additional signature addendum for each document that you create. Okay. Now, says agree to the terms, conditions, representations, and disclosures in the document. So what that means is whatever document you identify here, it's that signature that you have here is only specific to that document that's identified here. If it's not identified here, it's as if this person never signed this. So you got to be careful. Okay. All right. We took care of the additional signature addendum. That is, if you have more than 2 buyers or 2 sellers, 2 landlords, or 2 tenants. What if you have more than one agent representing the same side? Well, in that case, you will need the additional agent acknowledgement. now we're going to do the additional agent acknowledgement. Let's say, for example, you got an agent from two separate agents from the same brokerage company representing the same customer. Let's say, for example, you got let's say Anthony and Chai and Tim Chen. I know the partner, so they're probably going to be needing this form. Now, if Anthony Chai and Timmy Chen represents the same seller, and if there are three sellers on title, they will need the earlier form that I described, which was the additional signature addendum, and they will also need this particular form, which is the additional agent acknowledgement. Okay, so in this case, when they sign the listing agreement, they will check this box. And then it is for this property here, and this will be between the broker and the seller. So in this case, the broker will be Centermac, Realty, right? So it's between Centermac Realty Inc. and the seller. Let's say, I'll give it a name. Let's say Bill Smith. So Bill Smith is the seller. Okay. Now, assuming we only have one seller, and then Centermac enters into a residential listing agreement with Bill Smith, but there are two salespersons from Centermac representing Bill Smith. So in this case, I would need Tim Chen and Anthony Chai to come over here and check this box because they are both working for the seller, so they will check this box. It says multiple associate licensees working with seller / landlord. Depending on the situation, you could be doing a listing agreement for lease, or you could be doing a listing agreement for a sale. And 2A here The real estate licensees named below are all conducting real estate license activity under the same broker. So A would apply because it is the same broker. Both Anthony Chai and Timmy Chen are under Centermac Realty Inc. So 2A would apply to them. So the broker name will be Centermac Realty Inc. We don't have anybody in the company that has a team yet, so this does not apply. Okay. Now let's look at B though. B says the licensees below have entered into a separate written agreement to share responsibility and compensation for certain real estate license activity and have informed broker of or given broker a copy of this separate written agreement. So I would need Anthony and Kim to provide me with that written agreement regarding how they're going to share the compensation. So I will have Anthony Chai here, whatever his license number is, and I'll have Tim Chen, okay, and whatever his license number is, okay. So I think this form actually makes it a lot easier for you to do your paperwork. Okay, so this is something that we will have to provide to the client to make everything proper and official. And let's see here. It is buyer tenant, so I got a problem here. Okay. So there is sort of a deficiency in the form. It says buyer tenant broker. Okay, but I think everybody understood that it's the broker. However, let's look at paragraph 3. By signing below, all parties understand, acknowledge, and agree that wherever the name of any licensee above is indicated in the agreement or related document as a representative for the buyer or seller specify in 1A or B above, the other licensee shall also be deemed to be named. Listing broker and seller signatures are not necessary if this form is only used to modify a buyer representation agreement. Uh, Listing broker and seller signatures are not necessary. This form is only used to modify the buyer representation agreement. But we're not doing it for buyer representation agreements, so signatures are still necessary. Selling broker and buyer signatures are not necessary if this form is only used to modify listing agreement. That makes sense. So here we will put Centermac name because we are the listing broker for this property in Baldwin Park. Okay, and over here, now remember, you only need one person to sign. It could be Anthony or it could be Tim. It doesn't matter. Okay, only one person needs to sign over here. So we can make it Anthony. So one person is required. So you got Centermac's license number here, and this is where you put these license number. Now, because we represent the listing site, we don't have to worry about this. Okay. So this takes care of the additional agent acknowledgement. This form was actually released December of 2015, so it's been around quite a bit. But it is seldom used, so now you know where it's at. So you should start using it. It makes it a lot easier to keep your documents proper and in compliance. So let's say, for example, I save this. I can certainly do an e-sign, right? Now, interestingly, only one person between Kim Chen and Anthony Chan need to sign this. So when I set up the e-sign, I don't have to set up for two signatures. One signature is good enough. Okay, and however, I think that in this case, it might be better to make me a signatory. That way, you know, I'm aware of what's going on. Okay, so you can make me a signatory, and we need to do about this because there is a deficiency in the form. This particular form actually is intended uh, for uh, a listing agreement, and if it's a listing agreement, it will be a listing agreement between a broker and a seller. So they have the seller's name here, but then this one doesn't indicate that Centermac Realty is the broker. So there is a little deficiency that they have to kind of fix. Okay, but uh, uh, I don't think anybody needs to sign here. If it's just a listing agreement, it will be either myself or someone between Anthony and Timmy Chen who's going to sign over here. Okay, and then I suppose the seller would have to yeah, the seller would have to sign here somewhere, because we want the seller to acknowledge that Kim Chen and Anthony Chai will be serving him as co-listing agent under Centermac Realty, which is the broker. So we'll put Anthony's name here, license number here, and Tim Chen's license number here. Okay, so that kind of, and again, it is a multi-purpose form. You just have to check the right box accordingly. Okay. All right. Let me just kind of save this, and then there's another form that I'll show you today, and that has to do with agent commissions sharing agreement. Okay, let's say, for example, Tim and Anthony wants to make an agreement between themselves. You put Anthony Chai's name here and his license number here, and this is Tim Chen name here and his license here, and the term of these agreements, they can have the agreement start whenever it starts. Let's say it starts today. If no date is specified, the agreement begins on the date of the last AL signature. So sometimes, you know, you don't have to put date, because if you don't put any date here, they go by the date on the last signature somewhere here. All right. So it really doesn't matter if you don't provide the date. You just go get the last signature date. Okay. And then you should specify an expiration date. It can be fixed term, or it can be by termination notice, or it can be ongoing unless terminated. Now, it's actually ongoing and terminated by either party as specified below. So if nothing is checked here, then you need to decide. You're supposed to check something here. It can be fixed term or by termination notice. I think in most instances, in Anthony Chai and Timmy Chen's case, I think it's ongoing and then by termination notice. Now, if it's somebody from Centermac SD who wants to enter into an agent commission sharing agreement with somebody in Centermac Realty, then I would think most likely it will be a fixed term. If it's a fixed term, it could be 12 months from commencement date, or it could begin on a certain date and then ends on a certain date. You just decide. Now you might say, and here, now let's say there is a listing agreement. There is a co-listing agreement between someone from Centermac SD and someone from Centermac Realty. It might be a 4 months relationship. So you go ahead and put in the date, August the 26th as the termination. So you just check whatever that is applicable to you. Now, if you don't have this type of situation, if it's ongoing, most likely you deal with termination notice. Okay. So if you want to go by termination notice, then the notice can be given at least 30 days prior to the actual termination date. Or you can even have an option option here, which is completion of the transaction. I think more likely this will be applicable in the case of a cooperation between Centermac SD and Centermac Realty. Okay. In that case, we go by completion of transaction. Okay. It says completion of transaction is further described as follows. You can say close of escrow, or and then the property address, whatever, 123 Main Street, right? Bar. Whatever the situation may be applicable to you. Licensing requirements. Here it says, license C1 and license C2 they must both maintain the license in the active status, and then there may be a situation where for example, Tim and Anthony, they may want to exclude certain properties from the commission sharing agreement, in which case then you will check the appropriate box. Okay, and then there may be some situation where the activity is quite limited. You know, they may decide to cooperate in certain cities or certain communities. Urban, for example, you know, all of this can be specified through the commission sharing agreement. Okay. Now, and then there may be other situations involving pre-existing clients. They may want to exclude certain pre-existing client from the sharing agreement. So we just go ahead and now here actually is where you want to specify your split, right? So for example, your share. Now remember, whatever share that you enter into, let's say for example it's 50-50, and of that 50% that you get, you still have to pay your company dollar. Okay, whatever your ICA with the Centermac. So this would be a good agreement to use for you know, commission sharing agreement. Okay, so we don't really need to create one. There's already one available. And then if you have any sharing expenses, you might want to specify here. You might not have any. Number 6 probably doesn't apply in your situation. Okay, and then you may want to exclude certain pending activities. You just kind of tell, let's say for example, team already started with a transaction, and then Anthony wanted to enter into a commission sharing relationship. Kim can go ahead and exclude those pending transactions. Future transaction with pre-existing client, that can also be discussed, and then you fill out the forms accordingly. Okay. And if you have any dispute, you go to arbitration, or you go to mediation. Responsible broker, you know, you have to specify the responsible broker's name. In this case, it will be me, right? If A1 and A2 are from two different brokerage firms, You may have two different responsible broker, but in this case, I'm the responsible broker for both Centermac SD and Centermac Realty, so it makes it a lot easier. But essentially, this could be uh, uh, applicable to agents sharing their commission where the agents might be from different brokerages. Okay, you see, you got same broker, different brokers. So you know that's how the form is designed. Okay, it says if A1 and A2 each conduct license activity through different brokerage firms, then this agreement has no effect unless each brokerage firm consents. So, in other words, if you want to enter into a relationship with another agent from a different brokerage firm, there's got to be more document that has to be signed for this to have an effect. Okay, just want to think about that. So this is mainly for same broker, okay, but you can also use it for different broker. But it's just that you need to make sure that there may be other you need more signatures. You actually will require both responsible brokers from each brokerage firm to sign off on this. Okay, so that takes care of that. Okay, let me go ahead and close this. Last one is just a referral fee agreement. I want to briefly talk about it because some of you might be in a referral fee agreement relationship. If you ever have a referral fee relationship, either with another Centermac agent or with an agent from another brokerage firm, this is the right form to use. The other day, somebody asked me about having a referral relationship with a local agent from another brokerage firm and what form to use. This might be the right form. Okay. So yeah, go ahead and use this form. Okay.